All right. Welcome, everyone. I am Jennifer Conkling-Schmitz. I am the Foundation Director and Coordinator for ProStart for Connecticut. Some of you I have met with and worked with already, but I know we have some new people who are going to be joining us as judges this year. I'm excited to have you. Looks like Nick and Callista are on. Hold on, I've lost my list of everybody who is on right now. And I'm excited to have you guys come and be a part of our day. I'm just going to go over really quick, a little bit overview of what ProStart is so that you all can, I know most of you are familiar with it. ProStart is a nationwide 2-year program in general. Schools can do it more than 2 years, so they can start as early as their freshman year of high school and continue through senior year. It is based on the curriculum and textbook Foundations of Restaurant Management and Culinary Arts, which is the text published and promoted by the National Restaurant Association Educational Foundation. So ProStart all begins there, and when schools decide they want to use that curriculum, they are able to join into the ProStart program, which gives them the opportunity to compete at the Invitational. Where are we? We are in all 50 states, Guam, District of Columbia, over 150,000 students enrolled nationwide. We have 2,200 students in Connecticut that are in the ProStart program in over 17 high schools. So this is a list of the high schools that we're currently in, and we're growing. So excited to see our program grow with numbers and looking forward to that translating to bigger competitions in the future. So the Connecticut ProStart Invitational all is the road to NIPSI, which is the National ProStart Student Invitational. That is a three-day competition in Washington, D.C. We'll be down there May 2nd through 4th. And the winning team from our Connecticut Invitational and all of the other states, they go on to compete at nationals. So they'll be, not every state competes, but they'll probably between, I would say close to 45 to 50 of each management and culinary teams down there. You guys are on the culinary side, so you'll be judging the culinary competition. What do they do? So ProStart is a little bit different than some of the other culinary competitions out there. They come prepared with their own 3-course meal. So they prepare and practice and create the menu. They create the 3-course meal using only 2 butane burners in just 60 minutes. They're judged on teamwork, safety, sanitation, cooking techniques, knife skills, taste and menu development, and costing. Kind of talked about, and there's scholarship dollars involved as well, both at the state and national level. So at the Connecticut ProStart Invitational, we have 4 culinary teams from 3 high schools competing. We have Enfield High School has 2 teams, Wilbur-Cross High School in New Haven, and Windsor High School will all be competing in culinary. Unfortunately, we had 2 schools drop out at the last minute, and due to staffing changes and funding issues. So a little disappointed about that, but we're hoping to work with them and get them back for next year. And then we have 2 management teams. The management competition is when they create their own restaurant concept and they present it to the panel of judges. So that's a separate competition that'll be happening at the same time in a different room next Wednesday. A quick shout out to our sponsors. Subway has been our title sponsor for many years, and we're so glad to have them back again. Performance Food Service, PFG, coming in as our ProStart premier partner. They've been great partners for us the past few years. Connecticut Army National Guard, thank you for coming in as a dinner sponsor. Falvey Linen, Union League, University of New Haven Business School, Sardilli, Gordon Foods, and J. Timothy's have all committed to sponsor this event. So thank you all. Also our supporting sponsors, our event sponsor, the Yard Goats, they work closely with us to reduce costs so that we're able to host it at Duncan Park, which has been amazing. Cisco providing all the food for lunch Carrie Gagnon's Dunkin' Donuts providing breakfast, Coca-Cola as a beverage sponsor, and Falvey donates the uniforms that the culinary team will wear at nationals. So, they also donate to teams that might not have a uniform. Everybody does this year, but in years past, they have supported us by providing teams with uniforms to wear at the state competition if they needed them. All right, the schedule. Product check-in is going to begin at 8:30 a.m. With the first team. Does anybody have any questions yet? Am I going too fast? No? Okay. Product check-in will begin with the first team at 8:30 a.m. We'll be doing one team at a time. With only 4 teams, we can spread things out a little bit differently. But I have condensed the schedule in a couple other ways. So all of the teams should be done with all of their culinary and everything by 12:15, and then just a little bit of feedback. Based on the way that our tasting judges typically like to work, I have created the schedule so that they will receive all of the plates one at a time to be able to taste, and then feedback. The students will go back to their stations, get their feedback on their work skills, clean up, move all of their supplies off of the floor, and then they will go in for their tasting feedback after that. That seems to be what just works best for us, and with a small competition, we're able to do it that way. If we get a few more teams, it might not work, but right now we're going to roll with it and go that way. So product check-in, all food is checked in for temperatures, proper packaging, comparing the product list to the inventory lists. We don't look at the equipment in that. Excuse me. So it's just the food. And then we don't have refrigeration because they come in and product check-in is immediate, and then competition starts shortly thereafter. So teams have been told to pack everything on ice so that it is cold enough to last them through their travel that morning and until they compete. There is ice available if they needed to add more ice when they get there. Right now, I have product check-in judges is Nicole from PFG, and Craig. I don't know if you're on right now, but I had you as a product check-in judge. Nicole has been doing it for years and knows it back and forward. So she'd be a great guide to help you in that effort. Just a quick judge tips on product check-in. If the product isn't on the list, we don't take it away. They just get deducted points for not having accurate lists. But we don't want them to not be able to, if for some reason they forgot to put the lime on their list, but it's in the recipe, we don't want to ruin their recipe. So they just get a deduction for not having accurate lists, but we don't take the item away. If something doesn't temp and it is truly not safe to use, we allow them to try to go out to a store to get it before they compete. Usually the teacher takes care of that. We hope that doesn't happen. It rarely happens, but it has happened, and they try to make it work. Anybody have questions on product check-in? Okay. Oh, I don't know what, is that a hand raise or something? Hold on. I can't really see.
No,
Sorry.
Jennifer, Sergeant Knight, I was just letting you know, I do have Master Sergeant Craig Townsend here with me, and he's good to go.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. For our work skills section, so these are people who are going to be looking over all of the work skills while they're mise en place, cooking, knife skills. I'm going to leave it up to all of you to determine who the best people to review the knife skills are, because I don't know knife skills. I'm not a chef. I'm an event organizer. So I'll leave that up to you. I'm going to go to there's another slide. I'll talk a little bit more knife skills in that. But it can be done at the same time as the work skills, as long as, you know, I would say 2 judges identify themselves as looking at those knife skills and reviewing them, we're good to go. I always ask that if you are going to judge a section, you make sure you judge both teams and completely, so that it's fair across the board. So you wouldn't want to only judge knife skills on Enfield, but not the other teams. So if you're going to judge knife skills, you have to do it for all 4 teams. Judge tip, teams don't unpack anything prior to mise en place. So they kind of stand there and look awkward, and that's okay. That's sort of what they're supposed to be doing. Everything is timed out. So going back to that schedule, you can see that everything is very laid out and timing. I know that Calista, you've said you've got some timers coming, which will be awesome, which will help us keep everybody on track. And starting early or starting late makes everything back up with when we get to presenting the plates. So that's why, even though they might look like they're ready to go, they can't start. Like Wilbercross, I can tell you, they will be ready to go at 8:55, but they don't start till 9:45, right? So they have to, and then they present their team menu at 9:50, and their mise en place doesn't start till 9:55. And that's has to be that schedule. And I'll have all of that laid out for everybody on a clipboard so that people know it, on all the timing on what comes next for each team. But that schedule is important because you can see when we get down to presenting the plates, they come in every 15 minutes, and the tasting judges need that time to be able to review and judge.
Jennifer, for the timers, so I know we're gonna have the schedule
Excuse me.
there. Are there gonna be timers provided, or do they need to bring those?
No, I'll have timers for them.
And then are they just announcing that? So you may begin?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And I'll go over, I can, you know, I'm happy to talk with them separately, to go over just some suggestions and timing and all that kind of stuff. Early next week, or even just before we get started I'll be running around on Wednesday. So if maybe on Monday or Tuesday, if they have time to chat, or I can just send an email with some suggestions so that they know what they're doing, one or the other.
Okay, yeah, an email would be great. I do have one of the timers here with me.
Okay.
So if you can send an email, and then if she has any questions from that, we can definitely get back in contact with you, so that way she can relay the information.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's just, yeah, it's just keeping people on track. So, all right. Let's see. So intro, the work skills judges, the teams introduce themselves. The judges introduce themselves. They'll tell you what their menu is. Mise en place, when they set up their workspace, they can get ice and they can get water. So that is their time to go off the floor. We should have 2 hand washing stations on the floor. They wash their hands a lot, which they should, but even probably more than normal, because they're being judged. So they wash their hands before they talk to the judges. They wash their hands after they talk to the judges. We ran out of water in that station really quickly last year. So they ended up having to use the work kitchen, which is just off the floor. If that happens, it's fine. And we have to, you know, we accommodate. But that would be the only reason, once mise en place ends, that they would need to leave the floor. They should stay in their station, other than to wash their hands if those, for some reason, the hand washing stations go down. No food prep is allowed during mise en place. So they're not slicing, they're not dicing, they're just setting up their workstation. During the work skills and safety sanitation, that's when they have their 60 minutes, which is their start cooking production period. They have 60 minutes to create 2 identical meals. So this is not, we're having 1 team go at a time. 1 team will be going at a time, unlike last year where we did have 2 teams going at a time. So judges should be able to focus on the team that's finishing, but making sure you're circling through all the teams because they will be all cooking at the same time at one point. So as one team is completely finishing, the other team is going to be starting. So you're going to want to be able to float through and, separate, making sure as one team is starting, people are going to listen to that intro while the other team is finishing up their presentation. Like I mentioned, they should stay in the L. They're allowed to have one alternate who can be on the outside of the tables. They can taste food, but they can't touch anything else. They can talk, they can guide, so they can do timing. They can let them know, if they're behind schedule, if they're ahead of schedule, all those things, but they can't touch anything other than the taste. They are allowed to help clean up, but not set up. Teams can finish at 57 minutes. So they can present their plates at anytime at the 57-minute mark and beyond. If they are not done at 60 minutes, they go until they're done. So we don't stop them if they're still, piping their, their sauces, or they're finishing the dessert, whatever it is that they're doing. We just, let them keep going. If by chance they go over 10 minutes, they would be disqualified, but I've never had anybody have that happen at state. So fingers crossed that that continues that trend. Again, this is a learning event. If you see them doing something wrong or dangerous, especially knife skills, certainly correct them. Engage, ask questions, encourage them, but don't encourage, no suggestions for changing something. So I wouldn't say, hey, you should, do this instead with their, the way that they're preparing something that they've created the menu, and that's the way that they're doing it. There's a feedback section later on where you could make those suggestions to say, hey, it looked like you probably needed more salt, or or I would have cooked that a little bit longer. It didn't look like it was going to be cooked long enough, or even just, with that cooking techniques, all that kind of stuff, those can be addressed in the feedback. Knife skills. So I think, I don't know, it looks like everybody who's on here now is relatively new. So knife skills has come and gone and back again, which I'm happy about that they're back. Once upon a time at this competition, they actually did chicken fabrication, where every team would fabricate an entire chicken and present it. Excuse me. As well as knife skills. It's now been reduced to knife skills. Last year, they didn't even judge them separately. It was just kind of judged within their work skills, and there was no way to really see what the product was that they had done. So now they have, these are the 11 knife cuts that are presented in their text. So they need to identify 2 of them, and then they'll be included somewhere in their menu. So that will be identified in their menu. But in that, they need to present just 1 ounce of their product to be judged. So if they decide they want to just do, the large dice, and then chiffonade, we'll provide them the little containers for you to judge. Does anybody have any other questions about that? Okay. Tasting and menu judging. So our judges are broken down by appetizer judge, entree judge, and dessert judge. So we'll have 2 for each. Plates will come in quickly. We'll have about 15 minutes in between. You don't need to eat the entire thing, but you can if you want. And then we're actually, this is, sorry, I didn't update this. We'll actually, so as I said before, we're going to have all of the plates come in every 15 minutes, judge them, and then feedback will all be at the end. This is tentatively the schedule that I have for the tasting judges, I'm just confirming that everybody is going to be where they say they're going to be. But that's what I have right now. So hopefully that works. Students will go, oops, sorry. After students bring their plates to the tasting judges, they bring the other set to a display table. They go back to their tables or to their stations for their work skills feedback. Then they clean up. And finally, once they have 20 minutes for cleanup, once everything is completely cleaned up and they're ready to move off of the floor, the cleanup set and safety sanitation judges come and do their last review of that and tell them they're good to go to move everything into one of the suites. So that's where they'll put everything. Everything will need to be off the floor because where we are competing gets turned over for the buffet lunch. So as teams finish, they'll move everything off. The teams that finish early might have time to go for a tour, or they can just decompress a little bit and wait for their feedback session. Does anybody have any questions? I know it's a lot of information.
No, Ross, can we possibly get this this slide deck emailed to us?
I can absolutely, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to send the recording out as well to everybody. So I'll send this as well as the schedule and the recording. All right. Okay, if there are no other questions, we are done for today. Thank you again. And I am looking forward to seeing you. As I said, the product check-in will begin at 8:30. If everyone can try to arrive between 8 and 8:30, that would be great. Even just so I know that everyone's there and we are good to go.
Morning, Jen. Where should we enter when we get there? Just the main entrance?
Yeah, so it's right. So you're going to go through the main. We're on the YG Club. So the main entrance at 1214, there is a parking lot straight across, and it's $5 cash to park. They don't take the Pro Park until after 9. So if you get there before that, you won't be able to pay through the online system. That was a problem last year.
Okay, Jennifer, I did have one more question. So we do have one of our social media individuals who will be there.
Yep.
What are the rules as far as like taking photos?
They have all signed off on a waiver, so we should be good.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
No, I think we're all set.
All right, awesome. I'm looking forward to it, and I will see you all next Wednesday. 1 week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.